has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the last annual meeting? We have to approve the minutes, so I'm going to just take it for granted that we've read the minutes and the reports and everything, and we'll just hammer this through. We need a motion to approve the minutes from the last year's annual meeting. Do I see anybody make a motion to approve it? Mark, a second. Steve got it. Yeah, Randy, I'm sorry. I forgot who I gave the first to and gave the second to. Does anybody see any discussion that needs to be discussed on the minutes from last? I'm going to take it for granted we all looked through it. I'm going to take it for granted we all looked through it and read the reports. I'd like to see a motion to pass the reports from the staff and the officers. Can I have a motion, please? There we go. Randy, I'm sorry. A second? Steve? All right. Staff reports, staff reports passed pretty easy. Now we're going to the ministry reports. The ministry reports from the properties team, the tech team, the mission exploration team, Christian education team, the worship and music, the Reimagine team, and the stewardship team all have reports. I would like to have somebody make a motion that we approve the reports from the ministries. Okay, there we can go with Steve or with, okay. Second? Well, yeah, we'll go with Steve as the second. That'll work. That was our lovely vice president. Rick. All right, is there any discussion on the reports? Any discussion on the reports from the ministries? If no discussion, I'd like to vote. All in favor of accepting the reports from the ministries, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Reports passed. This is a part where Barbara's going to come up here and talk about the budget that we are putting forth to the congregation. Yay, Barb!
Okay. The detail of the budget starts on page 24, and I'll just walk through a few of the key points. Just to let you know, what I've included in there was the account, but then what was last year's budget, what was last year's actual expenses, and what we're proposing for 2026. So we all know that 2025 was a little bit of an unusual year, and 26 might continue that to an extent. So I've kind of tried to put notes as far as what we did. That we have growth in our giving from our existing units, and then also hopefully some new members that will take the places of some of those that have left over the coming year. So the combined budget is in the neighborhood of about $165,000 versus last year's actual $187,000. Other significant items, the Lake Country Child Care, we had a new lease in, I believe it was 2024. So that amount continues to have some growth in it, rate increases annually. So that is explaining the growth to $98,000 in the budget. We also have had the nursery rented out. We're kind of on a little bit of a limbo here. We have to get over some permit requirements, and once that's done, we hope to be able to continue that lease. It adds $750 a month to our revenues. The Mission Investment Fund interest is where we have deposited monies that we don't anticipate that we'll need right away, so they're not in our checking account, but we go to the Mission Investment Fund, which I believe is a division of the ELCA. And so there we can get a little bit better rate than what we would do in a checking account. So what we did is we put some of it, we lumped up some monies that we received from insurance proceeds, from some, on this, the pave the way monies. Until that we know that we need those, we invested them together in one pool. We keep them separate, but as a result, we're able to increase the rate that we're on, but it's the same rate that we'll be doing. I think if you go through worship and music, the education budget, outreach, stewardship, those are very similar to what they've been done in the past. I've put a few notes on the side, so if there's any questions, please ask. Our utilities does have a change. Last year, when we took the solar panels off due to the leaks and some of the issues with the solar panels, it resulted in an increase in our utility bill. We knew that when we did it. We just felt that the payback from the solar panels was going to be longer than we felt necessary, given the costs that would outlay, that we'd have to outlay, and given our financial position at the time. As a result, though, our utility bill is up about generally 50% on each monthly bill. So we already had a good chunk of that, starting with May. The summer months, we went through the summer months and saw the 50% increase. So that's really factored in as to why utilities are up. That's the big item there. Nothing crazy different from equipment maintenance or buildings and grounds. Sorry. Fellowship, office admin. If you've got questions, otherwise they're very close to what our actuals were or our prior. From a staff salary standpoint, obviously there's been some changes over the past. So in 2025, we had Pastor Kim, we had a severance amount that continued over a smaller, not the full salary, but a partial salary over 6 months. And then in October, then we had Pastor Casey's compensation in there. So for the coming year, we basically followed the PACT agreement, which that's our agreement for the intentional interim pastor. So for Pastor Casey, we followed that through June, so through the 6-month period. After that, we estimated an amount, again, based on a shared ministry with our Saviors. It's somewhat of an estimate because we don't know what that looks like, but it's our best estimate at the present time. You can see it looks, we're up a little bit there, but last year we had some significant amounts that we paid to supply pastors because basically from March until somewhat in October, we were using supply pastors. That number will be down significantly. So that's kind of where the pastor amounts flowed. Kind of similarly, for the music director position, we started out, we had a lot of supply musicians. You'll recall we had a number of different pianists, etc., in the early part of the year until we hired Riley in June. So the amount that we show for a music director is basically a full year salary for Riley. The other thing that's different from a custodial standpoint, Steve Berger has been doing a lot of this, not charging us. So his time for 2025, he basically donated a lot of his time. So we have included $8,000, which it approximates 8 hours a week from a janitorial person, and we've got a lead on somebody that is also doing our Saviors. So we did put a provision in a little bit of the year, but we did not have a full year of benefits in 2025. We budgeted for a full year of benefits in 2026. Building mortgage, again, we last year, if you'll recall, at about this point in time, we re-amortized the mortgage because we had made prepayments, and we extended re-extended basically to the original due date on the mortgage. So taking advantage of those prepayments. We aren't prepaying, we are making every payment that is due, but that the amount that we pay on a monthly basis will be the same in 2026 as 2025. All said and done, we approved a budget that is actually in the negative to about $36,000. Not really what you want to see, but we feel that it's realistic, it's conservative, and even though it's negative, we fortunately have some amounts that we feel will be able to cover that negative. You saw in other parts of, if you looked in the other parts of the treasurer's report, the monies that we put into the Mission Investment Fund, a lot of that was, we received insurance proceeds from the roof. We received insurance proceeds from the rain. For example, on the roof, it did include replacement on the solar panels. We chose not to do that. So that we've got some things that we chose either not to do or to do ourselves versus contracting out with others. And so we anticipate that that's going to provide us with enough cushion to cover this negative on the budget. And we hope that, that by the end of the year, once we're more stable and having a full-time or a full-time pastoral answer, whatever that might be, that will help us to, start to regain membership and turn that back into at least a balanced budget. Any questions on the budget? I went quickly. I've seen these numbers a lot of times. Okay. This was supposed to be Jennifer, so I agreed to fill out the term after I've already done my 2 terms once, so I've got experience. Yeah.
Question, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but about 2 years ago, there was like, I don't know if you call it the stewardship, where people committed to a certain amount to tithe.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a while, and I don't know
Yes.
if that's something we need to do.
I'll explain that.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
I think this was the appropriate time.
Anything else? Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, that all being, I can't believe how quiet that was. That is, we're gonna get through this meeting really quick, which. They have not voted on it yet. That's true, that's true. All right, so I would like to hear, I would like to see a motion to accept the proposed budget put forth by Barb. Randy? Debbie seconds. All in favor? Debbie Shaver. Sorry, Debbie Shaver seconded it. I'm going to say that was, it passed, so we're good there. All right, going to elections. First off, there are 3 people leaving council that their term is up. It's Eduardo, Steve, and Dave. And if you take a look, the very last. Yeah, we need a mic. Well, I think. There are 3 people, and first off, I want to thank everybody, Steve, Eduardo, and Dave Sadler. I want to thank them for the hard work that they put forth. It's absolutely insane the amount of time and effort these people have put forth in doing the jobs that they are doing. If you take a look, though, we are only Debbie is set forth to replace Dave Sadler on the Worship and Music Committee, which we will be voting on. As far as the properties position, I'm in the process right now of putting a team together. We will have a properties person in, but we feel that the properties, let me step back a little. The way that the Constitution is written, we have, the way that it's set up, if you take a look at all the different council positions, we have to bring somebody in under that position, whether it be stewardship, whether it be social justice, whether it be youth ministry, whether it be fellowship and hospitality. That's just the way that our Constitution is written up. Technically, there are groups underneath these people, but as of the last few years and the problems that we rose, the groups have gotten a lot smaller. And basically, the property group was Steve Berger. I don't feel comfortable bringing one person on. I feel comfortable bringing a person on for stewardship, but we have to put a team around them. So before I bring somebody on for stewardship, I'm working on putting a team. Steve Berger, myself, Randy, there's a bunch of people that have been working diligently, but we're going to put a team together. So that is the reason why we don't see that. And as far as stewardship goes, there were a few reach outs to some people, but nobody has come forth. So we are looking for a stewardship. And it doesn't have to be stewardship because we're missing a couple of these positions. It could be for Christian education, it could be for fellowship, it could be for social justice. But we just do not have anybody to put forth for stewardship, but we will have that by the time the first meeting comes through. And last but not least, the members that are leaving get moved forth to the nominating team for the following year. So what we are going to be voting on is Deb Shaber for worship and music, Dave Sadler, Eduardo, and Steve Berger as one-year terms each for the nominating team. And also, if you take a look at the Senate Assembly, we are still looking for 2 members that would like to go to the Senate Assembly this year as voting members for church.
And I'm impressed that, and I should have that date written down, but it's sometime in May.
28th and 30th.
30th.
Yeah.
Who
May.
feels so called to spend 2 days with Pastor Casey and a couple of folks from the church across town, with a whole bunch of folks from Lutheran churches all over Greater Milwaukee, doing the business of the church, getting some inside information. They usually put on a pretty good meal for us. I like that one. All right, we got one. Anybody else interested? Now it's not
Okay.
just Pastor Casey. It's Pastor Casey and Pat. All right.
All right.
Put him on there. I'm not even gonna check them. Just sign them up. That's right. Amen. It wasn't me. And if there's anybody else that's interested, I think they've changed it so we get a third now too. So if anybody else is interested, yeah, Friday afternoon usually, and then Saturday most of the day. Right in Brookfield, don't even have to go down to the east side like we used to. All right, we got 2.
We're good.
That feels good.
That feels very good. Well, as of right now, what we have Debbie Shaber going to taking over for Dave Sadler. I am putting, well, that is if we vote her in. That I will ask if you do you feel comfortable sitting in here while we discuss yeah. Okay. So what we're doing is Debbie is taking over for that. We are for the properties. We are forming a team to do it, and we will have by the meeting we will have a properties person with a team put behind them. And then if there's anybody else that wants to explore church leadership, please talk to me after. As I said, we've got a couple of positions. Kind of like if you read Eduardo's report, we're doing this a little bit for all of you. We understand that the ministry is, the church has shrunk. We don't want to put any undue burdens on anybody. We know all of you, every single one of you guys are working way too hard, and we put a lot of pressure on just the regular stuff. So anyways, if anybody feels interested in taking a leadership role, please talk to me after the meeting. Other than that, is there any discussion about Debbie taking over for Dave? Does anybody have any comments, or does somebody else want to do it, or they're really excited about doing it? But if there is no discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Debbie Shaver for a 3-year term as worship and music, Dave, Eduardo, and Steve Berger as 1-year terms for nominating, Pat and your dad to be members of the members of the Senate Assembly. So all in favor of the nominating committee report, let's call it, say aye. Oh yeah, that's right. We do need a motion. Yes, thank you. I apologize. I've got my thing flipped. We need a motion to accept. That was Steve. Second. Okay. Yep. Right. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. We are going to bring up this brings us on to the next new business. This is one of the times that we can ask some questions if need be, but we're going to bring up Jenny, who is a part of our Reimagine team. If you guys all remember, the Reimagine team started, Casey, it started with us trying to figure out what we wanted, where we wanted to go, what we wanted to bring back, and it's kind of morphed into a little bit more than that. But Jenny, if you could please just give us a brief.
Good morning. I know you all thoroughly read what I wrote in here, but I'm just going to highlight it a little bit so that you have an idea and maybe an opportunity to ask any questions. As Tyler said, the Reimagine team actually started early in spring last year, and the goal that we had set out to accomplish was to try to address making sure that our church still felt like our church, that without a lead pastor in place, things were a little not stable, and we really wanted Church of the Resurrection to feel like Church of the Resurrection. We did little things, like we made sure that name tags were available for everybody, not just lay ministry people. We brought back the extending hands across the aisle because that seemed like a signature thing that COVID stole from us, and we never really went back to doing it. We created core cares cards because we kept getting questions of, have you seen so-and-so? Do you know where they are? Is everything okay? We wanted some form of communication among membership so that they could get information without asking hard questions. We were also super worried about the people who were working so hard to keep things going. So there was attempts to try to be supportive and help people and connect the dots, so there were volunteers and help along the way. But once Pastor Casey started, we kind of asked, well, what does this team look like now? What should we be doing and focusing on? And the answer we got was that we really should be thinking about our relationship with the people at Our Saviors. We should be working together on some of our ministries. We should make relationships with them in general and hopefully get to know them so that if we do end up sharing a pastor, which it's looking like we might, then we want to have good relationships with them. We don't want to be in competition over who gets the better Christmas service and who gets the better Easter time. We want that all to be, we want to negotiate and work with them. So the other thing that we also wanted to do is make sure that people understood that the goal of the Reimagine team wasn't to kind of sneakily just kind of combine congregations. That isn't the goal. The goal is to foster the relationships, to have good hospitality between the churches, and make it a smooth process if that's the way we end up going. That church has the very similar challenges that we've been facing, financial and membership, all of that. And the conversations have been really good. They've been really healthy, and we've kind of worked through some things, figured out what makes sense for us to work together on, what makes sense for us to leave in within our own group. So that whole concept of doing more with more gives us power to do a lot of things that we weren't able to do on our own. So if you are on the Reimagine team, can you stand up just so people can see? A lot of us are here. Yes, thank you guys. Does anybody have any questions about the team or?
How's confirmation going?
Confirmation is a great example of how this is working so well. If we would have had confirmation class at our church, we would have had 4 children. And so we would have been doing all the planning, all the events, everything that we've been doing with 4 kids. By combining with our saviors, we ended up with 11 children, and just an amazing group of volunteers on both sides from both churches. We've done mission work, we've done a lot of really good conversation learning. We just did the care of self just a couple weeks ago, where we talked about mental health, physical health, and get the kids talking and knowing each other. So it's a really great example of how when we work together, good things happen. Anything else? I just wanted to close by saying this isn't a group of people that exists over here. It's supposed to be all of us. So if you have absolutely any interest in joining us or participating, if you can make it, we meet once a month. We'd be happy to have you, and any feedback would be appreciated as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Like Jenny said, the Reimagine team has been going since early spring this year, and it's just done a number of really neat things. Does anybody have anything else they would like to bring up in new business? If not, then we can move right on to the message from the president, which basically is going to be, what do you guys want to know from Pastor Casey and I? Do you guys, can we, Jenny, let's.
I actually didn't have this question until I was listening to the budget. Is there any opportunity for us to bring in some solar relief, not on the roof, but maybe in some of our land up here that would help offset some of our electrical costs?
That's a very, very interesting point that you bring up. The solar platform today are less on roofs and more out there. We will take that under advisement. I know Steve has looked at it. At the point that we were at before was we could have put the solar panels back up or put them on the ground. They were very cost inefficient, and the power that they were to get the same amount of power we were getting from those solar cells would be about half the size today of what the size grid that we had. That costs money. At this point there's no federal subsidies on it, but we are definitely checking into that.
A couple years, we might have again.
Yeah. Does anybody have questions about timing of things? Pastor Casey, how about
Let me get a little
you go through here.
primer for that, and then
Yeah.
maybe that'll spark some questions. Yes, sir. All right. I didn't know we were online, therefore we'll do this. All right, so this is just an opportunity for me to talk a little bit about our transition and to answer any questions that you guys have. So first and foremost, in front of you, you should have a little survey that asks you for 5 essential ministry tasks that you're going to want the new pastor to have some skill in. The Mission Exploration Team, we're meeting tomorrow night, and we're going to look over number that and come up with, out of everything you guys put in there, 5 things. I will take them as people are leaving. So check 5. If you check more than 5, I'm just going to pick my 5 favorites that you choose. That's my prerogative. And then if you have any other observations, thoughts on, as we're calling a new pastor, feel free to write them there. With that being said, the majority of our time together was in defining who this congregation is, because we're putting together our profile. And now that we're working on the what would you like in a new pastor? It's that, here's what I'm looking for in this future relationship. The mission exploration team is coming to we're getting close to a finished document. So what happens when that's finished? Well, on May 3rd, 1 month after Easter, we have a meeting scheduled with Pastor Kristen, who I refer to as my handler. She's the bishop's assistant in charge of congregations in transition. And I also have Bishop Paul planning on coming out here on that Sunday as well. So on that day, that profile, you'll get it a little bit before that, but we're going to discuss it as a congregation. Is this who we are? Does this feel good? Are we happy sending this to a future pastor? If you guys say yes, then it goes. If you guys say, well, then we have a couple days that the Met will tweak whatever we need to tweak. Once that happens, or on that day too, we will have a call committee. Those are the people that will actually interview a new pastor, potential pastors. We'll establish a call committee. And then once that's done, those 2 pieces, our group, along with our Savior's group, will start to conduct interviews. That is as far as I can conclusively tell you that there's a timeline. Because the first interview could be a week after that, and it could be the right person for both churches. And then we're only looking at a month to a couple months before a new pastor who's planning on being at these churches for a good long time is here. But also, if that first one is not the right person, if, the interview process is slow, that transition time could take a little bit longer, right? It could be as short as a month. It could, and this is, you're going to focus on this date, but there's no way to not say it. So don't focus on this, right? But some churches, right away. Some churches, a year. Realistically, somewhere in between. So my promise to you for during that time period is one of 2 things. Either I will stick around because I like you, or if the Synod has something new and exciting to throw me into, for me to be called to, laugh at that, come on, that was funny. Then I will make sure, I will do everything in my power to ensure that these churches get what is called a bridge pastor. And a bridge pastor is essentially an interim that doesn't do interim things. So it's somebody who would be consistent preaching on a Sunday. It's somebody who would show up to council meetings and some other ministry meetings. Somebody who might be in the office for a regular amount of time. They're not working on identifying the congregations. They're not working on identifying who we want as a pastor. They're here to provide consistency. So that's my promise. My promise is that whatever this next chapter of the transition brings, I will do everything in my power. And when I did the psych screening for new pastors, one of the things that was used against me was how persistent I can be. So I will be that voice in the Synod's ear to make sure that there's consistency whether it's continues to be me, it's a bridge pastor, or we call somebody right away. Does that make sense? I tried to smooth it down as easy as I could. So with that being said, do you have any questions about where we're at now or the process as it moves forward? Yes, ma'am.
Is this an attractive thing for pastors to want to come in and have two churches? Or is that a hurdle to find good people who would want that kind of challenge?
Yes. Two churches is more work than one church. So it can be a little bit of a hurdle. But with what the Reimagine group is doing, I've said this pretty openly, these two churches, this is the least work I have had to do with confirmation since I've been a pastor. Every church I've been in, confirmation is my responsibility, and I have to do it. I have to be there every week. I don't have anybody else. And boy, trying to do that with two churches would have been a nightmare. But the two churches working together, that's an attractive thing, right? That really is the reason behind the reason for what I'm asking the Reimagine group to do. It's to make that relationship real, so it's not working two jobs, right? It's some shared fellowship, some shared events, so that the work of the pastor can be not just fun and show up, but that it's more than just a financial reality. With that being said, looking for a pastor to take a part-time call is a major hurdle. But being able to offer a full-time call with benefits really benefits us. And with that being said, this is a little bit of inside knowledge. I tried to twist and figure out what I could, but Pastor Kristen let me know, I met with her last week, that she already has people asking about these calls. So I don't know that that's going to turn out. I don't know that it's, but there are people asking her when this is going to be available, which she's never let me know that before. So that's pretty good, right? So this is my, in Greater Milwaukee, it's my third and fourth interims. My first one, I think it took about 6 months before everything was settled after I was done. My second one, they had a pastor in place before I finished the paperwork. So if we're taking an average in my world, 3-4 months, maybe. Randy had one first.
Well, I don't have a lot of knowledge about the preaching business, so I'm going to ask, is a 40-hour work week realistic for one pastor to cover two churches, or could we be looking at a pastor that might get burned out very quickly with two churches?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's one that we should keep in mind. What? Yes. The question was about 40 hours a week, burnout with pastors, etc. So I always say I try to average 40 hours a week, and sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. I've hit that mark pretty consistently, and there are some things that I'm not doing that you'll want a pastor to do, but there are other things that I am doing that the new pastor won't do. So yes, I think it is entirely possible to have one pastor cover that, especially with some shared things. And, this is one of those, it all depends on how cool you guys are, right? Like, if 40 hours means you expect them to be able to document 20 hours in this building versus 20 hours in that building or whatever, that's difficult. But if you trust that, the pastor's getting the work done, that sometimes they're here, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're in the community, sometimes they're at home. And trust and flexibility goes a long way, and I think that as long as you're in partnership on that conversation, this isn't the first time two congregations had to figure this out. So it should be completely doable and life-giving. Two-point parishes, common a lot of years ago, very common out west too, the Dakotas, rural. I think it is. I mean, and there's some flexibility, right? I always joke, don't let the left-hand church know what the right-hand church is doing, but it's variety in my week, right? I get burned out when I feel like I'm not making a difference. I get burned out when I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I get burned out if if you're holding me to, you must spend 40 hours in the office, right? But allowing that flexibility and having that, with sharing a pastor, the congregation's going to have to pick up some pieces that will allow the pastor to do more of what they're called to do. So that's a good observation. And again, churches have been figuring out how to do ministry under less than what we've set up as the ideal circumstance for a long time. Right? American Lutheranism founded on churches that had a pastor that was a circuit rider, that they'd come to church about once a month, once every 2 months to do communion. It was the people's job since then.
One other comment.
Yeah.
So having friends in the ministry, they will go into a call lots of times and not have really a clue some of the intricacies that are going on.
Yeah.
Our situation's pretty straightforward,
Straightforward situation.
and that is good.
It is good. And, knowing those expectations up front and as our mission exploration team finishes their work here, I'm going to get our Saviors back together to just kind of do an update. And Pastor Kristen already has an idea of how the interview process is going to look. And yeah, there's no real hidden agendas that I've found, and I'm here to look for those. So thank you. Good comments. Are online people sharing anything? They have any thoughts? All right. Yes, ma'am.
This is on the list.
Sure.
I see to interpret theology. Didn't we do a joy and humor?
That's for the next part. We,
Oh, I'm on the wrong thing.
as the mission exploration team, you get carte blanche at that part.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions about timeline? What's going on?
Concerns about any of the building stuff, because that's building, I was gonna touch a little bit for Steve on it, but because Steve is on vacation right now, but the building, all I'm gonna tell you guys is it's a work in progress. We have people asking about carpeting. Carpeting is still on the table. Time frame, this should be gone next week. Steve is working this like a well-oiled watch, a German watch or whatever. He is really working through. So there's not any real definite specifics I can give you. Like Barb had said, some of the monies that we got, we're doing a lot of stuff ourselves. We're contracting other people to do it. So when this construction thing all goes down, I would like to have Steve come up here and explain the entire process to you, what he did. But there's going to be monies left over to solve some of the problems that we had. Pretty much, this is the last major part, other than if we do some carpeting or something like that. This will be the last major part. I know that all of the drywall has been taken down, the mold has been removed on both this end and for the daycare. So it is a work in process, but that's about all I really have, other than we're moving ahead, and it should be relatively soonly wrapped up totally.
There's a
So-
born of the water and the spirit joke in that process comment you made, but I'm not putting it together.
Okay, is there any other comments or concerns or questions before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Good. All right, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anybody would like to? Randy would second. Jenny? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. The meeting is adjourned, and I'm not a real good prayer person, but I've been trying to reach out during council meetings and stuff to do a prayer once in a while. And the position that the church is in, I really have a lot of things to thank God for. And so I'd like to do the closing prayer for us tonight. Dear Lord, thank you so much for giving Church of the Resurrection some amazing people that do a lot to get your word out there. I want to thank everybody. I'd love to thank everybody personally, but God, you have blessed us with a lot of great people. This moving forward with our Saviors and becoming part of a bigger community to do more with more, I really appreciate the ability that you have given us to move forward on this. I think it means bigger and better things. Dear Lord, I'd like you to bless everybody in the church, and moving forward, I'd like you to bless the church stepping into the new chapter. All I can say is amen.
Amen. All right, we've clapped for everybody else. Clap for Tyler.